and I love that dirty water. Opening day is officially here. We made it. Let's go, Red Sox. Join me on today's celebration on Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to a very special opening day episode of Locked On Red Sox. I am your host, Gabby, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed for free, coming to you here. So you might as well start your day off the right way with Locked On, which is your team every day. Thank you for joining my opening day party so I don't have to celebrate on my own here, that we have real Red Sox baseball tonight that actually counts, albeit very late at night with the 10 p.m. start, but we power through. It's opening freaking day. Get excited. If you are not currently watching this on YouTube, you can't see that I am wearing my Rafael Devers jersey and my Red Sox hat. So I am ready to go. So excited to watch some real Red Sox baseball tonight. And on today's show, I'm going to be just going over what to expect this season and maybe give some predictions on certain categories related to this Boston Red Sox team. But first of all, before we dive into that, I just wanted to remind you all of how opening day went last year for the Red Sox. It was very much not pretty. It was a high scoring game. They faced the Orioles on opening day and lost 10-9. So lots of offense in that game. And that was very much to blame by Corey Kluber, who was the opening day starting pitcher for the Boston Red Sox, giving up 5 earned runs, only lasting 3.1 innings. Now, when that happened, I said, oh man, is this going to be what this season is going to look like for Corey Kluber, or is this just opening day jitters and getting back into it? Nope, sure enough, it was not just opening day jitters, and he really did struggle this season to make it successful for him. He really struggled during the entirety of the season, and I'm glad the Red Sox have moved on from that Corey Kluber era. Something else to note in that game is that Orioles catcher Adley Rutschman, who's an absolute stud, had a 5-hit game that day with 4 RBIs. He is just so talented, and this Orioles team is very talented once again this year. I expect them to win the AL East this year. They might not win over 100 games again, but they'll definitely win at least 95, in my opinion, and they will lead the AL East once again. Now, one thing to note, too, is that the thing about the Red Sox having their opening day opening be so late and be on the West Coast is, yes, it doesn't give the same feel as opening day typically would, but at least they're getting a West Coast trip over with early on before everyone starts to get super fatigued. So that's definitely in their benefit. It's going to stink at first having to watch all these late games. They do see the Angels and A's on the trip after the Mariners. So those are teams that they hopefully can beat so they can get themselves into a good mode early on. And all the traveling is going to be tough, but once they come back to Fenway, at least they would have gotten one of those longer trips over with. So there's definitely pros and cons to it. I know it's not the same feel as the Red Sox having a day game on opening day. So I do understand that, but we power through, like I said, and I'll be here with you Monday through Friday to help get you through this grueling road trip. And hopefully the Red Sox will make it a road trip that isn't super painful for everybody to be staying up for, and they'll win some games. Now, going into this upcoming season, there are not a lot of expectations on this team in terms of performance in their record at the end of the season, because they didn't do a whole lot this offseason to show that they're seriously trying to contend in 2024. Do they have an opportunity to? Absolutely. You never really know. I think they could totally surprise people this upcoming season in terms of their performance. They could do better than people think, especially because of this lineup. They have a really powerful lineup with a lot of talented players who will make pitchers work and will work those counts, will hit home runs, but they'll also hit singles and doubles and play small ball. And they have guys like Jarren Duran in the lineup who can steal a lot of bases. So they have a good, versatile lineup in terms of the talent and what the guys can do. Now, one player who I predict could be an underrated asset to the team this year is Tyler O'Neill. The biggest concern with him is his health. Can he stay on the field? I predict that if there's going to be a dark horse player in 2024 who's going to be able to contribute and be a solid factor, it's going to be him. I think he's going to put up crazy offensive numbers at Fenway. He has the bat to succeed at Fenway, and defensively, he's going to make a lot more of a difference than you might think. So looking at the Red Sox lineup, yes, they didn't fully replace the productivity of Justin Turner directly, but if Tyler O'Neill is able to stay healthy and he can contribute in a way that the Red Sox need in their lineup, he could be that value that the Red Sox need that they've been missing since last year. So maybe he'll step up. I do see him being able to be a guy who Red Sox fans are looking back on and saying, wow, this was a great trade for Boston because he's really impacting this lineup in a positive manner. My biggest thing, again, is he just needs to stay on the field and stay consistent so that he can do that. But I have no doubt that when he's out there, he'll definitely be able to make the defense better as a whole because he's a Gold Glover. He has the experience of playing in challenging outfields and shown that he can be successful on that side of the ball. His bat has put up not the greatest of numbers every season, but if he's healthy, Fenway is a great fit for him with his ability to hit to all parts of the field. So I'm looking forward to seeing Tyler O'Neill. He's definitely a player to note that the Red Sox acquired this offseason that I think could be a huge game changer in the Red Sox lineup. Now, when you look at the Red Sox season and you're looking at the teams they're playing against in their division, I'm not necessarily saying they can't compete with their division, but it is going to be very difficult. There's a ton of talent in the AL East in particular. And based on how the Red Sox finished last year, are they going to finish in last place in the division again? That's the big question that everybody's asking going into this season. And the pitching staff as a whole has a lot of question marks. You have a starting rotation that's full of Brian Bayo, Nick Pivetta, Cutter Crawford, Tanner Houck, and Garrett Whitlock. Brian Bayo, I trust the process. I think his development is going to continue to elevate this upcoming season, and he really is going to be able to stay locked in and be that guy that Red Sox fans are hoping for him to be. He's not going to be ace caliber this upcoming season, but I definitely think he has the potential to eventually get to be an ace caliber pitcher. And for me, I'm looking at, is he able to overcome the pressure of being able to adjust in those high leverage situations when he's starting, and can he improve during daytime starts, because he struggled a lot last year when he had to pitch during the day. So can he change something about his pregame regimen so that he's ready to start and be able to pitch well in those daytime games? Now, another starter who's in there who's intriguing is Nick Pivetta. Pivetta started off as a starter last year, struggled when he was in the rotation, and then got moved to the bullpen, and just something clicked with him then, because bullpen Nicky P was unstoppable last year. He was a pitcher that nobody wanted to face, and he was super reliable out of the pen. He had some fantastic outings, and his ERA out of the bullpen was ridiculously low. And then at the end of the season, they brought him back into the rotation, feeling like he earned a spot. And he pitched pretty well, but the end of the season is still a small sample size to know, okay, did they truly fix him and now he's able to go back to being a starter and being effective, or was it just a little bit of a hangover from his great pitching in the bullpen and it translated over to those last couple months of the season when he got a couple more outings on the mound as a starter. So that's something we're looking out for this upcoming season is, can he still be successful as a starting pitcher, or is his spot really meant to be in the bullpen? And the same question could be asked about Tanner Houck and Garrett Whitlock, both of whom have shown very nasty stuff, but over shorter stints. Garrett Whitlock struggled in his starts last year. He also dealt with some injuries. Can he contribute effectively out of the rotation to the point where he can produce even when he's expected to stay in the game longer? I love Garrett Whitlock's stuff, but I always liked him better as a 2, possibly 3 inning guy out of the pen. And Tanner Houck, same thing. Can he go into this season and be able to elevate his game and pitch more innings? Because his problem for a while was not being able to pitch deep into games. So my question now is, can he pitch deeper into the games in 2024 to the point where he can bring that same level of dominance that he's brought out of the pen into the starting rotation? And can we see him be a solid starter for the Red Sox? So that's another question. And Cutter Crawford definitely showed potential in 2023. He had a very strong spring training for the Red Sox, and he's going into this season with very much an outlook of, I'm ready to go and I want to contribute in the best way I can. He did struggle coming off of his last spring training start, but that's not to be too concerned about given that the rest of his outings in spring training were very good. So I'm interested in seeing how he develops in 2024, but I think he has a lot of potential. So overall, when you're looking at the Red Sox going into this season, the question mark is going to be that starting rotation. What is that going to look like? And coming up, I'm going to be giving a prediction for the Red Sox record based on the circumstances that we just talked about. Are you ever trying to score last-minute tickets for any event, whether that's a concert, sporting event, comedy show, or anything of the sort? If you're ever in need of tickets, Gametime is the place for you. I've had frustrating ticket buying experiences in the past when I was trying to buy tickets and wasn't sure if the seats were good or if I'd have a good view. As we know at Fenway, if you get stuck behind a pole, it's definitely tough. So Gametime can help you avoid that. They will show you what the view is going to be from your seat so you can be assured that you have a great view. So that's what I love about Gametime. There's a lot of different events that they offer on there. I've bought playoff tickets there. I've bought UConn basketball tickets through it. So it's a great way to assure that you're getting good seats and also great prices, because they will give you lower prices than a lot of other ticket vendors will. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. For a limited time, all users can get $20 off any MLB purchase of $150 or more in the Gametime app with code FIRSTPITCH. Terms apply. That's code FIRSTPITCH, First Pitch, for $20 off from March 25th to April 14th only. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. It really will guarantee you the lowest prices, and that's why I love it. So you should totally check out Gametime today. Are you sitting there watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On Sports Today is great because it will really keep you updated on all things going on in sports, so check that out today. As the Boston Red Sox head into a season full of some unknowns, especially with their pitching staff, how is this all going to look for them when the season does start? That's the real question that people are asking now is, are the Red Sox going to be a good enough team as a whole unit to be able to compete? And the lineup won't be as much of a problem. I think you'll find that the Red Sox lineup will challenge a lot of pitchers and bully some pitchers come game to game, and they'll be able to put up runs. But the problem with that is they're not going to be able to put up a ton of runs every single night because the offense is not going to click every single night. They will have nights where they're off, guys aren't making contact. It just happens. It's a long season and everybody goes through those struggles. So when the lineup isn't clicking, is the pitching staff going to be able to help relieve some of that work and keep the team in the game and not give up a lot of runs so that the offense doesn't have to put up a crazy number of runs? And that is the part there that I'm concerned about, because you have the question marks in Whitlock and Houck. How effective can they be out of the rotation? Can Pivetta be effective out of the rotation, or is he more confident out of the pen? Are Crawford and Bello going to continue to contribute in the way that they have been and develop in the way that the Red Sox are hoping they will? I think yes, especially Brian Bello, and Cutter Crawford needs to show some more before I can feel super confident in him, but I do like what I saw from him in the spring, and I like the way he's progressing. So considering all of this, the question is, what will the Red Sox record be at the end of the season? Now, I've had this conversation with a lot of different people, and when you look at all the factors, the bullpen even, especially, the bullpen I do feel like could be a strong suit of this team again, unless they are expected to overwork and pitch a lot more innings at a time like they had to do last year. That was so unfortunate because the bullpen got very blatantly fatigued towards the end of the year. If they are pitching at a normal rate because the starters are able to go deeper into games, I definitely think the bullpen can be competitive again, especially because Josh Winkowski is there. He pitched well last year. Chris Martin was one of the best relievers in baseball last year. Hopefully he can continue to provide that type of value. Kenley Jansen is hit or miss, depends if he's able to stay healthy or not. Then you have some of the younger guys like Isaiah Campbell and Justin Slayton and Greg Weiser, all pitchers the Red Sox acquired this offseason that they're very excited about being in their system. Can they contribute out of the pen? I think they have a really good chance to blossom into something big. And then you have Joely Rodriguez, who didn't get to pitch a lot last year because of his injuries. Can he contribute? Can he stay healthy? So there are some question marks in the bullpen. However, I do think the bullpen has less question marks in the starting rotation. First of all, there's less pressure on the bullpen to last longer in games as of right now, and we hope that that continues like that. And when you look at some of these guys like Campbell and Weiser, they're in the development mode, and the Red Sox are very high on them. Can they deliver in the way the Red Sox need them to? I think there's a good chance they can. So I'm looking at the bullpen as not as much of an issue as the starting rotation, but if you take everything into consideration, there are a lot of people out there who are saying the Red Sox will be an under 500 team. I don't agree with that, per se. I do think they'll have a better record than last year, primarily due to the development of some of these guys I mentioned already, like Bello and Crawford. And then you look at guys like Duran and Casas, who are determined to continue to grow from last year, and I think we'll see big seasons from them again. So if you consider all of that, the Red Sox as a whole, I do think will be better than last year. However, I don't think they'll be that much above 500. I'm looking at around the 83 win mark, I think is a fair assessment for them. I don't think they'll come close to potentially winning 90 wins. Do they come close to making a wild card spot? Maybe. You really never know. Sometimes 90 wins barely gets you into a wild card spot. Sometimes 85 wins is enough. I think there will be a point of the season like last year where they could be in the wild card conversation for sure. It's just going to be a matter of how does everybody else do, and is that enough to get them a playoff spot? But I'm looking at around 83 wins for this team. I think that's a very reasonable number to put them at, because I do think they're a slightly above 500 team, but I don't think they're anything super crazy. So I'm looking at that and then saying, where will they finish in the division? I did on the show, and if you're an everydayer, you will remember this. Thank you, by the way, for tuning in every day. I absolutely would not be where I am without any of you, and I see you, and I love reading your comments, and I love interacting with you on Twitter. So I appreciate that. Keep that up and keep tuning in. But I did have episodes where I compared the Red Sox to each of the other teams in the division individually and where they stack up to those teams. They are not better than the Orioles. They are not on paper better than the Blue Jays. However, the Blue Jays have tended to underperform the last few seasons despite the talent level that they have over there in Toronto. So I'm not ruling out the Red Sox finishing relatively close to them. If the Blue Jays perform to the best of their ability, they're a better team than the Boston Red Sox. But if they are underwhelming and underperforming like we've seen from them over the last few seasons, they could finish closer to the Red Sox. The Rays are an interesting story because they didn't do a ton to improve their roster this offseason, but they're always in the mix for being a top team in the division. They always find a way to be super competitive, and then they get into the playoffs and end up not winning it all. But in terms of talent level, the Red Sox lineup could definitely compare to the Rays lineup for sure. It's just a matter of, can the Red Sox pitching staff compete with their pitching staff? So that's kind of the wild card there when it comes to the Rays. And the Yankees, to be honest with you, yes, they went out and got Juan Soto this offseason, who is a fantastic addition to their offense. But what will their pitching staff look like? They have a ton of question marks in their pitching staff as well, and they finished fourth in the division last year. So I'm looking at this division and saying the Orioles are my no doubt favorite to win the division. And then I could see a mix of a lot of different scenarios happening after that, because most of these teams have some question marks. It's not just the Red Sox, and most of these teams weren't super aggressive in the offseason to improve their rosters. So I feel like it's going to be the Orioles at the top, and then everybody else could be generally in the mix and then kind of see where the tokens fall. So the Red Sox may finish in last place, might not. I'm not set on saying they are a last place team, because if you had asked me earlier on in the offseason, I would have said 100% this team has not really done a ton to improve their roster to be competitive. But who else really has in this division now that it's the end of spring training and opening day is literally today, and we're looking at it and saying, what did other teams do in this division? So I think it's kind of more wide open than people think, and all those other spots are up for grabs behind the Orioles. So that's where I stand on the AL East as a whole. And coming up, I'm going to be giving some more predictions. Who's going to be the team MVP in 2024? You'll find out next. If you're looking for a fun way to play daily fantasy sports, PrizePicks is the place for you. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Football season may be over, but the action on the floor is really heating up, especially with March Madness and the NBA playoffs right around the corner, too. Whether it's tournament season or the fight for playoff home court, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of year. Get in on the excitement with PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 with NBA, NHL, and college basketball entries today on PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. There are a lot of different picks that you can make on PrizePicks, like Caitlin Clark for more than 30 points in a tournament game. That girl is unbelievably talented and so fun to watch. So any given game, you could definitely pick her for that. And LeBron James for more than 7 assists, another safe pick that you can make. So PrizePicks is the place for you for all things daily fantasy sports. Just download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's a first deposit match up to $100 when you download the app and use code LOCKEDONMLB. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. It really is that easy, and the best part is you don't have to make that many picks to win a lot of money. So head to PrizePicks today. Also head to Locked On Sports today, as we as a network have launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. It's great for Locked On because we are the only network with a 24/7 streaming channel. So if you're looking to stay caught up in everything going on and not just baseball, but any sport, head to Locked On Sports today. That is the absolute place for you. As we move ahead into getting excited for the Red Sox opening day, or should I say opening night game later on tonight in Seattle, we are talking about expectations for the Red Sox season and predictions that we could possibly make in terms of what's going to happen this upcoming season. And one of the most underrated moves the Red Sox did make this offseason was bringing in Vaughn Grissom in the Chris Sale trade. He's been injured, so he won't be able to be the opening day second baseman, but he will be the primary second baseman when he does come back. And he was a highly regarded prospect in the Braves system. There's just a ton of superstars on that team, so they didn't really have a lot of room for him. But he's an interesting storyline heading into this season because the Red Sox have had a hole at second base for a while. They've platooned a lot of guys in that position, but haven't really had a defined second baseman for a while. So now Grissom is that guy who hopefully can come in and be the Red Sox second baseman in the long run as well. So I'm looking at that storyline and saying, how is he going to adapt to Fenway when he gets here? Is his defense going to be able to keep up to par with what we need? Because the Red Sox middle infield was a problem defensively last year. So can they fix that this year? Can Grissom be part of that solution? Can he be a big piece at the plate? That's all storylines that I'm looking at in regards to him. He's an interesting player going into 2024. Who, though, will be the team MVP for the Boston Red Sox heading into the season? I think it's the guy we're looking at as the face of the franchise who just signed a massive extension a year ago with the Boston Red Sox. Had a good season last year, but could have an even better season, and that's Rafael Devers. I mean, he had a great spring. He looks primed and ready for a big season, and now he's in the first year of that contract. I feel like he's going to play his heart out. He's past the pressure of feeling like, I just got a contract extension. I need to prove that I deserve that extension because he's Devers. People know he deserves that extension. And he is a leader on this team, and he's being more vocal, especially when he expressed frustration this offseason about how the offseason was going for the Boston Red Sox in the front office. So the fact that he's being more vocal shows that he's gotten more comfortable with speaking out and being a leader, and that's what we need from him. And that quality, I feel like, is going to take him very far in 2024. I think he's going to have a very successful season. I think he'll no doubt be the team MVP. I think he even has a chance to be in the American League MVP conversation this upcoming season, especially if he stays healthy. I think we're going to see really big things from him this year. He's going to be the heart of the lineup. Hopefully he's improved defensively a little bit at third base and he's ready to go. And then Bobby Dahlbeck is going to be there as kind of a backup for both third base and first base when Casas or Devers needs to rest. So that'll be interesting to see if Bobby can learn from those guys and hopefully improve a little bit more in 2024. But I say Devers for the team MVP. I have no doubt that that will happen. I already said that a dark horse player who can perform really well is Tyler O'Neill as long as he stays healthy. But a guy who I'm expecting a resurgence from this year and a comeback year is Trevor Story. I think he has had the short end of the stick with his time in Boston so far. First, he comes in and doesn't get a full offseason with the team to be able to train. So he went into opening day less prepared because he didn't get the full offseason. Then he gets injured and has to miss a lot of last year because of his injury and needing surgery. And then he comes back towards the end of the season and wasn't really able to figure things out at the plate. So now that he's here and he had a full offseason and he's healthy, I think this season will do big things for Trevor. I think he's primed and ready to have a much better season than he had last year. Defensively, we know he's going to contribute. His defense, when he came back last year, made the Red Sox middle infield so much better, and everything just seemed so much smoother defensively with him in place there. So we know that he'll be able to do his job on defense. The question is, can he find his rhythm at the plate so that he can contribute offensively in the way the Red Sox need him to? And I feel like you'll be surprised. I don't think he'll be the best hitter in the lineup or anything crazy like that, but I do think he'll be a lot better offensively than he was last year. He's ready to come in and show people that he wants to prove this contract that he got from them and prove that he's still the player that we saw when he was in Colorado. So I'm ready to see him have a big season this year for Trevor. I think he'll be a lot happier with his numbers at the plate, and having a whole off season and feeling fully healthy could work wonders for him mentally when he goes into the season. So he's my player who I expect to have a comeback season this year. And then you look at a lot of the other guys in the lineup. I think Casas and Duran will both improve even more this year, and that's really exciting because they both had super fun seasons last year as two of the key pieces that could be part of the puzzle long term here. Definitely Casas more so than Duran, primarily just because of the outfield situation right now and how many options they have there. But Casas for sure is a cornerstone piece to the puzzle here for the Red Sox moving forward. So I'm expecting him to have another great season. He got his feet very wet last year by having a super strong rookie season, so I expect that to go up for him even more. And Duran too, he was fun last year. Something just clicked with him, and then he was just full force nonstop, and it was super fun to watch. So whatever he figured out last year, hopefully he applies that again this year. And Masataka Yoshida is another big player that I'm looking out for this year. What are things going to look like for him now that he won't be playing defense as much anymore? And he can focus more on his at-bats, primarily being a DH. He definitely has the opportunity to put up some more competitive offensive numbers. Hopefully he's able to figure out the off-speed pitches a little bit more so that he can stay a consistently strong and competitive hitter at the plate. So that'll be another interesting storyline to look out for. And then you have Rafaela and Abreu, both of whom got called up late last year, have a small sample size under their belt, so we don't really know exactly what they're going to provide and going to offer. But I love the attitudes of both of them. I love what Rafaela showed in the spring. He definitely has the potential to succeed here. So there's a lot of fun things to watch out for the Red Sox in 2024, and they might not compete for a playoff spot. They might not. They might surprise us. Who knows? We won't know until we watch the games, but there certainly are some things to be excited about in terms of the development of some of the younger talent and hopefully a breakout season from guys like Story and Yoshida. So lots to be excited about. I hope you enjoy the game on opening day. I am so excited. Let me know. Comment on YouTube if you're watching it here what your go-to baseball snack is when you're watching at home. So hopefully you can make that during this 10 p.m. game tonight, or tweet at me and let me know, because I'm always curious what everybody's different traditions are. So what are you going to be doing while you're watching the Red Sox game tonight? Are you going to be making any sort of special food that you like? Let me know. And as always, go Red Sox, keep the faith, and I will catch you on the flip side.